and welcome to Better Reading TV. Today we've got a very special guest. Very special. I think he's pretty special. He's Paul West and he's from River Cottage, Australia. He has written this cookbook. He's quite extraordinary for a very young man. And also, I did a little bit of prep for you, Paul.
Oh, yeah?
I decided to push myself a little bit and make a dessert out of your cookbook.
Oh, okay.
And I have. I'm actually going to get you to flip it and to serve it a bit later on.
Is it what I can smell in the oven there?
It is indeed. Now, talk to me. I really like how you discovered food and how you came about it, and you weren't brought up in a family of food lovers.
No. We are, for my family growing up, food was always a very utilitarian thing.
For a long time, I think, and for a lot of people, food is fuel.
Meat and 3 veg, but food was never something that in my family was viewed as viewed as something that was exotic and an art and things that could be explored. It was just food on the table. So I left home. I had a couple of years of trying this and trying that. I found myself in Tasmania, and I'd been on the road for about 3 months, and at that stage I was dead broke, and I was kind of traveling by myself and living pretty rough. I was in need of a family fix, and I was sick of staying in hostels or on the outskirts of town or whatever. And this person told me at a hostel I was staying at, they told me about Wwoofing, which is an international organisation. It's an acronym that stands for Willing Workers on Organic Farms. And the basic premise is you exchange 4 hours work for food and accommodation. I thought, that's great.
It sounds like a fair deal.
It's great. It is a great deal, and I really can't recommend it to people enough. But anyway, so the first farm that I stayed on was in a place called Paradise. And he was an old French bloke called Gilles. So he was a retired carpenter, so he was a craftsman. So when I stayed with Gilles, I was exposed to this totally different world of farming that was warm and alive, and he had a huge veggie garden and it was thronging with life, and it had a beautiful pome fruit orchard, and he had sheep and cattle and pigs and ducks and geese, and I'm like, it was like a menagerie. It was like a Garden of Eden, and I had no idea that that's what farming could be. I'd never been exposed to that way of life. At 21, with rudderless, I was directionless. I just instantly stuck to that ideal and that concept. I'm like, this guy has the recipe for life. I thought I had a pretty good handle on growing, so I thought now I need to learn to cook. So at 23 I took on a chef's apprenticeship, which was pretty old. I began in Newcastle, where I lived. Yeah, love Newcastle. I progressively chased better and better kitchens until I found myself working at Voudemont in Melbourne. It was it was another world. This sprawling, chaotic beast that was just always running at 100%. And I remember you'd go out, if you run out of a garnish or something and you knew someone in the restaurant had it, and you'd come out and you'd have sweat peeling off everything of your face, and you'd be bright red because it was a furnace in there. It was like my face looked like this kind of thing. And you'd come up, and the restaurant, because it's this 3-hat place, is like this calm, like everything's like, yes, on the pass, it's like service, and you're like, and you'd come in and you'd like, and all the customers would look, oh, where the hell did that guy come from? And you'd go over to the larder section, I need to chop parsley, right now, scoop it out and run off, So it was, I learned to survive. And then you went to... So then I went back to Newcastle because I wanted to try to find that balance. I reassessed and I went, no, that's not what I want. I want to be growing, and I want to be connected to my food. And then that's when Alicia's cousin told us about the casting call for River Cottage Australia. So I was hugely familiar with River Cottage already. So they said they're looking for a host, you should apply. And I'm like, oh yeah. It was an online application initially, and I got a call the next day. They hadn't even seen a photo of me at that stage. Right. They're like, well, we love your piece. It was great. That's so engaging. You're obviously passionate about this, but it's a show, so we need to see you before we can take it any further. Can you get a handy cam and film something River Cottagey? Being a chef, the only day off I had was Christmas Day, so I filmed Christmas lunch, cooking Christmas lunch. My partner was the camera lady, and then I edited it together with some freeware that night, and because it was the only day I had, and sent it off, and they were on holidays. Yeah, here I am. Now listen, I think we've got the. What have you got in there, Cheryl? Shall I just flick through the book? Oh, is that what we're having? Are we about to eat that? There you go. So do you want to do the honours? I'd love to. So, yeah, ready to go. Yeah, let's do it. I'll just sit here and wait to be served. I hope I don't burn myself here. Oh, yes. Is it good? It looks fantastic. Oh, yep. I think you've done a good job there, Cheryl.
Do you think?
And now here we go.
Here we go.
Here's the difficult
See,
part.
I was worried about flipping it.
Especially when it's full of what's most likely very hot caramel.
Gosh.
Oh, have a look at
It's a little bit
that.
brown, but it's still good.
Yeah, I'd call that strongly caramelised.
Strongly caramelised.
But on the same hand, I like, I don't, that's not burnt. That's not burnt. It's just very, very caramelised.
Let's call this fuel for pleasure.
Yeah. That's
okay.
better. If it's going to fuel, you may as well fuel the senses.
Got it?
That's a great recipe, Cheryl. I'll have to get that off.
No, you will. Well, do you know what? You need to buy the cookbook. That's where I've got it from. Anyway, thanks, Paul. Thanks for being with us, and thanks for joining us on Better Reading TV.
Thanks so much for welcoming me into your home,
Great
Cheryl. I
company.
appreciate it.
You're great company. How lucky am I? That. See ya.